Hi everyone, my name is Ierie, and this is Reminisce with This, where I take a little time out of my day to sit and reminisce with you on all of the different hobbies, interests, and collections that I've obtained over the years. For me, it's also the memories that I've gained along the way that keep these hobbies and interests alive, and why I continue to still collect. It is Trading Card Tuesday, so I'll be opening up a few packs here and just getting into it. Honestly, I'm starting to think that I might actually pre-record some videos throughout the week on my days off, and really applying that, so that way I'm not waking up too late or whatever may be throwing off my sleep schedule, as I do work nights. So I'm testing that out for this particular week, so we'll see how this goes. But for the most part, I'm excited to open up some packs. I did open up a couple packs for my TikTok, so that will be up here as well. But yeah, so I'm super excited. I got like literally about 77% of my perfect order master set completed, and I'm just like super jazzed at like how much I have been enjoying this again. Like really just I can't even like tell you how many times that like I'm sitting down and I'm just thinking of all of the memories that I've made over the years collecting Pokemon cards. Ooh, that is a dupe. But I think it is. I may or may not have that one. But like I'm thinking back to like when I was a little kid, and that like there'd be times that my mom would come home and surprise my brother and I with like Pokemon card packs, and like do that whole thing like that parents will do behind, put their hands behind their back and make the kids pick which arm and whatnot. And I'm just remembering so many times of that going on, and then just the cards that we got as kids, and how excited it was, or exciting I should say it was. And it's just bringing me that same kind of level of emotions back, as I'm diving back into this like hobby, because I've been collecting here and there scarcely over the years, but not to this capacity where I'm actually really like buying packs frequently and stuff like that. But nonetheless, like I really have been enjoying so much of this time period of just really being able to be reminded of how I've gotten this far, and like it's just been so like happy and exhilarating. And I just really am so blessed that I had the childhood that I had, because let me tell you, growing up in Utah when Pokemon was huge, the Pokemon was banned in a lot of places that I would go to, or schools and things like that. So trying to convince my grandma or like family members that it's okay to have these. Like my mom was always a key proponent for having these collections and like getting us these cards and stuff like that, whereas we got money saved up, we would buy our own packs. But convincing my grandparents and stuff like that to get us more packs, as it was vastly known in Utah that it was like hugely bad. So it was definitely one of those things that, if you remember my first Pokemon pack, I got with my grandma and my great grandma, but that's still one of those things that, coincidentally enough, like over time it became more and more very clear that in Utah Pokemon was so like taboo, and it was so vastly known through people that were in church and things like that. And my grandma, being a person that went to church out there, she was definitely swayed to the whole Pokemon is bad. but still at times, because she knew we were kids and there was not like any kind of uh, at least for myself, there wasn't any, like, I wasn't going to give up Pokemon anytime soon. That was, I think that maybe my family had hoped that it was going to be a fad, but here I am 32 years later, and I'm still as obsessed with Pokemon as I was as a kid. Now, of course, I have to make sure that I'm being responsible and, being an adult and making sure everything's taken care of before I buy packs. But I digress. It is something that I really enjoy, and just kind of reflecting on those times in my life as a little kid and just having a deeper appreciation. As my parents were young parents, and my family wasn't always like, my parents weren't always like made of money or like rich by any means, and same with my grandparents. They did with what they could. So having those little moments where we were surprised with packs and stuff, like, it really did now, it holds something different for me. It holds a greater appreciation for just those little things, you know and it's one of those things that I really can say that I am so grateful that I had grown up the way I did, and how many people were in my life, and how blessed I was to have such an amazing family all across the board, from grandparents, great grandparents, aunts, uncles, parents, and so forth, that, like, we as kids, we really got spoiled in ways that you wouldn't necessarily think kids were being spoiled. But what people could consider like the bare minimum was something of the most excitement. We were always just so blessed, honestly. And we didn't really think much of it as kids that we didn't have a lot, because we really did. And that's kind of the blessing here. Is my grandma ended up working at like some kind of store of sorts. It's kind of like a Goodwill in Utah. We called it DI, but my grandma worked there, and she got so much Pokemon stuff and so many different types of toys and things like that, where we normally wouldn't have gotten a lot of those things. And this is a memory that came back around. But she would take us there, and we would sort through the toys and stuff like that. And because Pokemon was so hugely like frowned upon, that we got a lot of the stuff that was newly coming out and stuff like that at relatively cheap, like a couple of dollars here and there, where some of the stuff had just come out, and here we are getting it for a couple bucks. So it's not like we didn't have some great opportunities to have these types of things, but we got it for relatively really cheap. And we, in ways, we got to have the same things that every other kid did, at some capacity. And this is something that I've been really reflecting on, is the fact that we really weren't missing out on much as kids. So being able to be here and kind of create this journey just has been reminding me of a lot. It's been reminding me of all of these little memories that I have forgotten about or have not thought about in such a long time. And that's kind of the main focus point of my channel, is to be reminded of those things and really have to think hard about those time periods, because it's been such a long time. I was a kid in the the 90s, well, I should say late 90s to early 2000s, and that's been quite some time for me. So being able to really sit and actually appreciate those moments at a deeper level for me has been such a blessing, because like I stated many times, I probably wasn't as appreciative as a kid as I wish I could have been. Maybe I was to some capacity, but I think also we just didn't really think too much about that as kids. We showed gratitude, we showed our thanks, and how appreciative a kid could be. But I think back now, and I have so much more gratitude for those that were in my life and have been in my life, because now as an adult and seeing how expensive things are and whatnot, like I know there's a lot of self-sacrifices from my family standpoint, and I just am such an appreciation. Like, I really am, especially with how I get when we were kids, Pokemon cards were so much more cheaper. But when you were on a fixed income, like my family was a lot of the time, that was still quite a lot of money. And trying to buy Pokemon cards today is ridiculous. Like, it is so hard to find them. It is so expensive on the secondary market. You're lucky to find what you need. And so there's just a deeper appreciation with that. So anyways, I will stop rambling. I appreciate you sitting with me and reminiscing a little bit and just hanging out with me as I got a few more cards for my master set. A lot of them were the reverse hollows. I think I do not have this one, actually. I would have to double check, but a lot of the ones that I did get were the reverse hollows, and I am trying to master set everything in completion, so that means I need a lot of the reverse hollows, and I'm almost finished with all of the ones that I need. But with that being said, again, thank you for hanging out with me and reminiscing, and I will catch you tomorrow for What's That Wednesday. If you are curious ever to what I have behind me figure-wise and you would like to see it, go ahead and let me know. I would love to show off some of my collection for what you might want to see. But in the meantime, I've got something cooking for you. So I will catch you tomorrow, and of course, per usual, if you have not been told you are loved, cherished, and or cared about today, just know I love you, I cherish you, and I care about you. Until tomorrow, peace.